How to use Canva for beginners. Hey guys, today I'm sharing an updated and detailed Canva tutorial for beginners. In this video, you'll learn everything you need to know to start creating your own designs from scratch. Whether you want to use it for creating graphics or short videos for Instagram, YouTube, and other social media platforms, or even for your blog or website, Canva offers incredible tools and features to help you get started with ease. And the best part, it's completely free to use. Once you've watched this video, you'll understand just how easy it really is to design with Canva, even if you have no prior experience. Ready to get started? Let's dive in. And welcome back to my channel where I help you create better content and grow your presence on social media. In today's complete and updated Canva tutorial for beginners, I'm going to walk you through how to create designs from scratch. I'll also show you how to make video content and animated graphics step by step. After some of the recent updates, Canva looks quite different, and I want to make sure you're fully up to date so you can take full advantage of all the amazing features it has to offer. My goal is to help you unlock your creativity and become confident in designing things all by yourself. As always, Canva is incredibly intuitive and very easy to use. I truly believe that anyone who is trying it for the first time will enjoy the process and find it simple to navigate. And just a quick tip, if you find the video is playing too slowly or too quickly, you can always click on the settings icon and adjust the playback speed to match your preference. So feel free to skip ahead to the section that interests you most. Alright, now let's jump straight into Canva. Canva is available in several forms. You can use it in a web browser, download it as a desktop app, or use the mobile and tablet apps available for Android, iOS, and other devices. This means you can use Canva on almost any device, even older ones. Today, I'll be using the browser version, so I'm heading over to canva.com. This is what the Canva homepage looks like if you're visiting canva.com, and voila! Here you can see what the free Canva account interface looks like. Now I want to show you what the Canva homepage looks like, because there are so many different moving parts here, especially once everything finishes loading. The first thing you'll notice is the left-hand panel. This is your main navigation menu and your starting point in Canva. Here you can access all the essential sections of your Canva account. At the top, you have your home screen, and right below that is the Projects tab. If you create a folder or start a new design, you'll be able to manage all of that under Projects. This area is like your personal organization hub inside Canva. It's where you can keep track of your uploads, your files, and basically anything else related to your work. Everything you need to organize in your account lives in that Projects tab. Next up, we have the Templates tab. Inside the Templates section, you'll find all kinds of pre-made templates to work with. Whether it's for your business, for social media, video marketing, print products, or anything else along those lines, this is a fantastic area to explore, especially if you're looking for inspiration or searching for something specific, but don't necessarily have a keyword in mind. As you can see here, you can access various file types. So, for example, you can search for flyers, resumes, invoices, and much more. You'll find all of those options under the Business tab. Then there's the Social Media tab, where you'll see the most popular platforms and the different content formats you can access directly from here. And for my viewers in the education sector, this is where you can filter by subject, grade level, and resource type. So under these templates, you'll find a wide range of different options tailored to your specific needs. If you scroll down a bit, you'll start to see various templates curated by Canva. Right now, Canva is highlighting the design trends for 2025, so you can click on any of these featured designs to get inspired and find something that suits your project. As you can see, Canva is currently highlighting logos for me based on my earlier selections. Here, you also have holiday themes, including special Disney templates, then Instagram posts, square formats, and presentations. There are so many different options available here, but don't worry, we'll come back to the Templates tab shortly. Next, you'll see the Brand tab, but we're going to skip that for now. That's because the Brand section is part of Canva Pro. Then, we have the Apps tab. Canva supports a wide range of apps and integrations. It connects with so many other tools and also includes built-in apps that let you get creative in new ways. For example, you'll find gradient tools, music apps, and more. There are tons of different tools here, and I'll also show you where to access them later directly from inside the editor. And finally, this is one of Canva's key AI-powered features. It allows you to describe an image using just a few words, and Canva will generate something amazing based on your input. It's a fantastic feature to use when you're brainstorming or in need of fresh, creative ideas. All right, let's return to the homepage. We've now covered the first panel on the left-hand side, and next you'll notice the second panel. At the very top, there's the Canva logo, which acts as a home button. If you click on it, it'll always take you right back to the main homepage. Next, you'll see a prompt to upgrade to Canva Pro. Below that, there are several suggested actions to help you get started with Canva. These include options like learning the basics, creating presentations, and improving your social media design skills. So these are just helpful prompts Canva provides to get you going. Now, as you can see here, Canva gives you the ability to star favorite designs and folders, which will then be placed in this section for quick access later. You'll also find a section for recent designs. But we'll come back to that part once we actually have something saved in our Canva account. Let's now take a look at the middle section of the screen. This area takes up the largest portion of your interface. But I'm going to start with the corner. Here's where you can access your account settings. This is your account switcher, where you can manage all the Canva accounts you're logged into or have access to, using only the free version. But I also have my personal Canva account that I use to create content and walk you through various tutorials. From here, you can switch between accounts easily. You can also create a team. Canva actually offers a Teams account type, which is ideal if you want to collaborate with others, whether that's 2 people or a whole team working together on designs. This way, you can collaborate seamlessly with others. So from this section, you can create a team if needed. Next, you'll see options like your settings, what's new, plans and pricing, and then your purchase history. Below that, you'll find your referral codes, feedback options, and other tools like that. Then you have your notifications panel. So, for example, if you're collaborating with someone, or you share a design link where others can comment, you'll see those notifications right here. And from this top menu, you can also quickly access your settings, where you can dive deeper and customize Canva to your preferences. Right in the middle of the screen, you'll find the search bar, which is a very important part of Canva. As you can see, it allows you to search through both your own content and Canva's built-in content. For example, let's say I want to create a yoga post. I could simply start typing that into the search bar. Canva will automatically suggest options based on what you type. You'll see suggestions like yoga post, along with different design types. Right here, you can see it suggests something like a 2-page A3 landscape yoga poster, and it even shows you the dimensions of each template. You might also see a yoga flyer or a yoga Instagram post suggestion. If I click on one of these, Canva will search through its entire library of templates and show me a variety of options related to that keyword. You can also use the search bar to look through your own content. So if you've saved a designer folder with a relevant keyword in the title, you'll be able to access that from right here as well. And you'll see search filters for designs, brand templates, folders, and much more. So in this section, you can really search for almost anything you want. Now, if I return to the home page, you'll see at the bottom area, this is where the real magic happens. This section clearly shows how powerful Canva actually is and how many different types of designs or documents you can create with it. As you can see, the first option is to create a doc or a whiteboard. A whiteboard is basically an infinitely scrollable space that you can literally use like a brainstorming wall for developing ideas or working on different concepts. You can also use it, for example, during sales calls over Zoom or to collaborate live with your friends or colleagues. Then we have presentations. You can, of course, create fantastic presentations here, and Canva is definitely a tool I personally use all the time for that. It's simply so much better than any other presentation software I've ever used. And then you have the social media section. Let's click on that one for now, because while docs, whiteboards, and presentations are pretty self-explanatory, social media includes so many more sub-options. Once you click, you'll see that there isn't just one design type. There are multiple platforms represented. As you can see, Canva lists the most popular social media design types and sizes right here. For example, I never really use the classic square format for Instagram posts anymore, because now we use different dimensions, but those popular formats are still included for anyone who needs them. It also gives you easy access to specific types of content. If, for example, I want to look for YouTube banners, I can search for and access them directly from here. This is a great way to search based on the platform you're designing for. Even if you don't know the exact dimensions, Canva will suggest them automatically. So this is definitely a very helpful option. There's also the video section. You'll find both the classic horizontal video format and mobile video formats for platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and more. These are the different dimensions, and below, Canva will also suggest various templates for you. In addition, there are print products, like business cards, invitations, flyers, labels, and similar items. There's also a website section because yes, you can actually create websites using Canva. Plus, you have the option to choose a custom size for your design. Let me click out of this for a second. Here, you can see the custom size option, and you can upload your own dimensions here. You also have the ability to create an image, write your first draft, resize a design, and even remove backgrounds. Because just like many modern apps, Canva also heavily relies on AI-powered features. So there are tons of tools that let you fully explore your creativity and really bring your ideas to life. From this panel, you can access all of that. As you can already see, there are so many ways to start a new design, but I want to show you the classic method. That's by using the Create a Design button, right here. Of course, it brings up the same menu, so technically you could just click on one of the preset options we looked at earlier. But I want to start with a custom size. Again, Canva suggests a bunch of standard sizes here, but sometimes you just know exactly what you need. And I do. I want to create an Instagram post in portrait format. That means I need 1080 by 1350 pixels. As you can see, I can just click on Create New Design. I can also change the units of measurement. So if you're working in inches, millimeters, or centimeters, you can switch it here. You can even set a specific aspect ratio if needed. But as you can tell, Canva is smart enough to recognize exactly what you're going for. It's really well optimized for user needs. So Canva suggests that this is an Instagram post, Portrait 425, which is exactly what I'm looking for. I'll just click on that, or I could also hit Create New Design, which brings us directly into the editor. Now this is what the editor looks like. At first, it might seem a little overwhelming, especially if you've never designed anything in Canva before. You might feel like there's a lot going on. But don't worry, I want to reassure you. Canva is an incredibly intuitive tool, and you'll be designing from scratch with ease in no time. I'm going to walk you through all the different parts of the editor, step by step. When you open a new account and land here, Canva gives you helpful little prompts, tooltips, and suggestions to guide you along. You can start with a template, as you see here. You can also add text fields, upload your own images, and when you're finished, you can share or download your design. So this is the basic layout. In the middle, you'll see our canvas area. This is the actual workspace for your design. It's sized at 1080 by 1350 pixels, and we're now ready to start designing. Let's begin by looking at the top toolbar. When I click on the menu icon in the top left, it opens two panels on the left-hand side. If you remember from the homepage earlier, Canva really optimized this new layout after their redesign, because sometimes you just need quick access to your other projects or features. So you can open that new menu from right here. Next, we have the File menu. At the very top, you'll see your project name. We'll go over naming your file in a bit. From here, you can create a brand new design, upload files, or even tweak the editor settings, like showing rulers, guides, margins, or enabling bleed marks for print designs. This is a very useful feature for print designs. From here, you can also check the accessibility of your design. Next, you'll notice that all changes are saved automatically. This is one of the most important parts of Canva, as long as you have internet access. Canva constantly saves your progress, so you don't lose any work. You can always check this here. As you see, we're on the File tab, and you can see that all changes have been saved. This icon here also confirms it. If you ever notice this icon changing, Canva is letting you know that your design is not currently being saved. That usually means either you don't have an internet connection or there's an issue with Canva itself. Luckily, that doesn't happen very often. If you switch back to the File tab, you can also move your design into a folder. Staying organized is especially important at the beginning. When you're just starting out, you're excited, learning new things, and experimenting with different templates. But that can quickly lead to chaos. This is part of my own workflow. I always start by renaming my design with relevant keywords so I can find it easily later. Also, I move it into a specific folder before I even begin designing. This is part of the process I follow myself, and I highly recommend you do the same so your Canva account doesn't get overloaded. From here, you can also create a copy of your design. You can quickly download the Canva app, and if you have Canva Pro, there's a version history feature available. You can move designs to the trash, search and replace text, and even suggest improvements right from here. There's also the resize button. Additionally, you have options for editing, commenting, and viewing your design. These give you 3 different ways to interact with your design. For example, if you're invited to collaborate on a Canva design, you might only have access to comment but not edit. This is a great way to switch between different working modes in Canva, but I'll show you more about this later. Then we have the undo and redo buttons. You can always go back 1 or more steps to change your edits. As I mentioned earlier, this button shows that all changes are actively saved. Next up is your design name. As you might remember, we saw the name at the top in the File menu, and also here in this panel. The first thing I'll do now is rename my design again, so it fits my own workflow and follows best practices from the start. So I'm going to call it Instagram Post Promo for Event Planners, because that's what this tutorial is about today. From here, you can also see who is actively involved in this design. As you can see, I am the owner. This account is the owner, but from here you can add people who have access to this specific design. You can add names, groups, or emails. If they are linked to a Canva account, you can simply enter their email and share the design with them. For example, if you're designing something for a client, you can easily enter their email here, and then they can log in and leave comments to provide feedback, which is very important. Next, we have the analytics features, which are part of the larger Canva ecosystem. I don't want to go too deep into these right now since they're a bit advanced for beginners. But at the moment, you can see here your public links, social media traffic, and similar data. So if you ever share your design externally across different platforms, you can check this analytics section to see how many people clicked on it and other similar information. This area also shows you how many comments you've received and which comments were shared. You can filter through different types of comments. If someone specifically mentioned you, if you missed something, or even all resolved comments on your design. You can access all of that right from here. The last function is the Share button, where you can download, share, or even print your design with Canva's print service, as you can see. You can also view all the other options here. So you can copy your design to the clipboard, save it in a folder, or send it to your phone, which I use very often. So let's take a look at the Share button. Once you've finished your design, you'll see just how many incredible ways there are to publish your design right from Canva. Now, at the bottom part, you'll notice we have a quick action bar. This is our magic assistant. When you click on it, you can quickly access different features, sometimes even elements and other items that fit perfectly with your specific design. So this is your little assistant. You can quickly search for something here, especially when you're just getting started or if you can't remember where a certain function is located. It's a great way to call up tools quickly. You can either click on the assistant or, as you'll see, you can also type a slash to bring it up instantly. This way, you get fast access. Next, we have notes, which are especially useful if you're giving a presentation. You can add notes on each individual page in your design. Sometimes this is helpful even for regular design work, especially if you're brainstorming ideas and want to quickly jot something down to remind yourself what to come back to later. So this is a great option to always be able to add notes. And here you have our zoom function, like this. You can see how many pages your design has and which page you're currently on. From here, you can manually adjust the zoom to a specific value. For example, I can zoom in to 125%. If I want to zoom in precisely, I can simply click on Fit and Passen. But even if you're on Windows and hold Command or Ctrl while scrolling with the mouse wheel, right now I'm literally just zooming in and out. As you can see, there's also an option here to zoom in and out of your design, which is very useful. Then you have the thumbnail view. You can switch from the normal scrolling page view, so I quickly add a page to a scroll view like this, to the thumbnail view. You get access to a preview of all your pages. You can also click on duration, which makes it look almost like a timeline. So, for example, you could turn it into a video. Even though I've chosen an Instagram post here, which is supposed to be a static graphic, I could convert it into a video if I ever needed to. But I'll just go back to my classic scroll view. From here, I'm deleting this page as well. The next view is our grid view. This view is something I really love and use often. It allows you to access all your design pages through thumbnails at once. So this is your preview option, and I find it especially great if you're creating something longer. For example, if you're making a planner or maybe a lead magnet, like a workbook. Then you can see all pages at once. That's a fantastic way to always know what's going on in your design. At the very end, there's the full screen mode. So you switch to full screen to fully preview your design. You can also see the pages here. If I just click here, you see that I switch pages, even though there are 2 blank pages, so you won't see much. But you can also see all the different options for presentations here. I'm leaving full screen now. At the very bottom, you'll then find the Ask Canva button. This takes you to that little assistant, which is different from the one we saw before. Here you can simply ask for something specific if you can't find it. This little help center then helps you find it, or answers your questions with the help of specific articles. So we've now covered the top and bottom areas. I also want to cover the middle area. So what happens with the canvas? First, we have the page. From here, you can title each individual page of your design. And you can see when I scroll down to my second page, which I added simply by clicking Add Page down here, I could also name it Hey if I wanted to. Then you see this kind of stuff appears when I have a next page. You can see that I can move this page down. I'm just quickly changing the color so you can see what's going on. As you see, you can change this page, rearrange the positions, and based on the title, you recognize that page 2 is now called Hey 1. You can change this here. Then you have the option to hide page. This means that this page won't be shown during your presentation when you switch to full screen. You can also unhide the page. You can lock this page so it won't get deleted. You can duplicate this page. As you can see, I added a second page with the same name, pink background. You can also delete the page. From here, you can add a new page as well. As you can see in Canva, there are always multiple ways to do the same thing. I'm just deleting the color here. And here, to get back to our blank canvas. And finally, we have the left panel, which is probably one of the most important parts of the Canva editor. From here, you access all the different kinds of features and elements to design your own graphics. As you can see, when I move to the left panel and just hover the mouse over the icons, you can see that this panel shows up and hides again if I scroll away a bit, if that makes sense. If you ever want to keep it open, you can just click on it, and you'll see that it becomes a full panel. This little X will appear when you need more space for designing. It doesn't really matter if you have a vertical design, but if you ever have something horizontal, sometimes you want a bit more room. Canva offers this option for that. This way you can switch between these 2 different views. The first option is the Design tab, where you can access templates. You might remember from the homepage that we had the Templates tab. This is basically the same thing, but it only shows templates that fit the specific dimensions you've selected. So again, we have Instagram posts in vertical format. You'll only be shown templates that are suitable for this particular design size. From here, you can search for anything. I already mentioned yoga. You can pull up all kinds of yoga templates here. You can be as specific as you want. For example, let's say yoga retreat. Maybe we have something specific for a yoga retreat here. You'll see that these are mostly posters and maybe flyers. These are good options if you want to find something tailored to these exact dimensions. Sometimes you might feel like starting from scratch and designing something brand new. But maybe you want a little more inspiration and don't want to start completely from zero. This is a great option for that. Here you can find various templates. One thing I want to highlight again. In the first part of this tutorial, we are only using features that apply to your free account. You should be aware that some templates are actually pro templates. As you can see, this one here is completely free. It's not marked as a pro element. But the second template here is a pro feature. You would have to upgrade to the pro version to use this premium template or pay for it at the end. However, I don't think that's very cost-effective. So be mindful if you want to stay with Canva free, which is still an absolutely fantastic option. You can see that on the left side, we have free templates, and on the right side, pro templates. Every feature, template, and element is always marked with this crown icon, which indicates it's a premium or pro feature. Canva Pro always shows you when something is behind a paywall, and that's how it looks. As you can tell by resizing or by the branding, this is also indicated by the yellow crown icon. So watch out for that. Apart from that, you can also specifically search by color for something. So, for example, if you have a yellow poster in mind for a yoga retreat, you can search by that. Or if you're looking for a specific language, this is a great way to access templates in different languages through this panel. And I can see the second option here is to use styles as well. You can create your own brand kit. This again is a pro feature, which we will cover later. But Canva understands that sometimes it's really hard to start designing from scratch if you don't have a design background. And Canva is all about making design accessible for everyone. That means it offers different suggestions throughout the entire design process. This is one of those features. So you get pre-made suggested combinations of fonts and colors. This is a fantastic way to access professionally designed palettes and font pairings. It takes a lot of the stress away when you're not sure if you're doing something right. Is your design professional enough? This is a great way to access these different color palettes and font combinations. I'll show you this in action in a moment. You see, I just clicked on the text, and it added these text boxes here for me. Now let's switch to the Elements tab. Oh, I just realized I haven't shown you how to use this temporary template yet. For example, if I like this one here, I just click on it, and the template is applied to my canvas. This is what it looks like when you start with a specific design in mind. Going back to the topic of yoga, I simply click on this one here. As you can see, all these different elements are automatically added. So I never have to start from zero, but of course, this is a full Canva tutorial. I want you to do that yourself as well. We will also design something completely from scratch. Now let's move to the second tab, the Elements tab. Here you find all the different elements and shapes. Here are the assets Canva offers you. Here we see the image generator. You have stickers, photos, videos, and also audio, because Canva is not just for static images, but also for videos and animated posts, which go hand in hand with audio. Then there are charts, polls, and quizzes. We have tables, frames, grids, mockups, and collections. There are so many different assets in the Elements tab. I'll go through them in more detail soon. Then we have text. This is the text field where you can again access various font combinations. As you can see, these are already pre-made. That saves you a lot of stress. Many of them also use those small fun effects. So if you ever feel uninspired, you can just click on them. As you can see here, this free font combination was just added. You'll notice this is a grouped element, but it's crazy how much amazing design inspiration you can already find in the Canva app. Then you also have these added text boxes and the option Magic Write. And then there's the brand kit, which is only available in the Pro version. The brand kit with logos, colors, fonts, and brand messaging is all prepared for the Canva portal. And then there's Uploads. Here you can upload your own assets and even record yourself. You see it here. You can simply drag media here to upload it or connect your account. I actually have Unsplash open. That's a collection of free and premium photos. So I could simply copy the image. I know it's free, so I could do it like this. I can just paste it here, and so on. And you'll see the upload starts. So you can not only drag and drop something into your Uploads folder or onto your canvas, but you can also copy and paste it directly onto your canvas. That's how amazing Canva is in this regard. It makes everything really, really easy to do. And that's how you upload your own assets. This works for images, videos, and also audio. So if you have your own recording, maybe you recorded a voiceover for your video, You can just drag your MP3 file or your video or something else into the Uploads folder or directly onto your workspace and then start designing. That's an incredible option. Besides that, you might have noticed that you're not only prompted to drag and drop, but you can also use Google Drive, Dropbox, or Google Photos. So you can simply connect your account to your Google Drive and access content from there as well. That's amazing because sometimes we all store our assets in different places. If it's easier for you to access them from there, that's a great option too. Then you have the drawing panel, which is incredible, especially if you're working on an iPad or sometimes on your phone and just want to quickly draw something. This is an amazing tool because sometimes you just need a little doodle or something to draw on your canvas. As you can see here, you can literally do that. You can change the colors here. So if I wanted something like this, I could do it. We have a pencil, a marker, and a highlighter here. You can add something semi-transparent, and we also have an eraser to completely erase it. Now, if I press Command+Z on a Mac or Ctrl+Z if you're on Windows, you can simply undo and redo from here. But as you can see, it becomes an element once I click on it. That's what I really love about it. You can draw and then treat those drawings as elements. That's incredible in Canva. Also, you can change the strength and transparency of all the pens. Here, you see a small preview of how it looks and how thick or thin you can make it. So these are the drawing tools. If I just go back and delete these, that would be perfect. Then we have our Projects tab. This is basically our headquarters again. Remember the Projects tab from the Canva homepage? This is how you access it from the editor. This is an important part because from here you can create folders. You can access these folders and all the different images. You should always stay well organized, so you can quickly retrieve the various assets you may have uploaded into the different folders. You can see that from this tab, you can browse your content, all your projects, and everything that has been shared with you. And then you have the different sections. You've got designs, folders, and images. They're all here. The more you upload, the more tabs get added if you have audio or video files. That way, you can access everything. From here, you also have the Favorites folder, the one with the star. There, you can save anything you like in Canva. For example, if you really like an element or a template, I would just add it there. I can always click on the 3 dots and open it from there. Let's say I want to open it from here. Now, if I go to Projects and click Start, you'll see it's now right here. So if you find something that really inspires you and you might want to come back to it later, you can access it through the Projects tab. That way you can always get to it easily. And then there are the apps. As I mentioned earlier, there are tons of options, features, and apps specially designed to support your creativity. You can access them from here. I don't think I'll cover too many of them now, except the most popular ones like mockups. But feel free to try them out yourself. It would be impossible to go through them all because there are so many. Some are free, and there are also premium apps you have to pay for. Great! So we've looked at what the editor looks like, and now we're ready to design our first graphic. As you can see, I've already uploaded an image. You saw how it looked. After the image was uploaded and I copied and pasted it, it was added to my canvas. But I can also just delete it. I'll show you again. If I go to Uploads and just click on the image, it gets added to my canvas. As you can see here, my element looks a bit different when it's selected. When we have an active selection, meaning a specific element is selected, like this image, it turns purple. It gets a thicker purple border around it. That means it's currently selected. Now, if I want to select a background, I can just click on it. You'll see a small border around the entire frame. That means my background is selected. That's how selection works. As you can see here, when I click on my image, different options show up in the context menu. First, there's this top bar, which we'll talk about in more detail shortly. Second, there's this smaller secondary pop-up, which means we can change something specific for this element. Now I can add a comment to this element. So let's say I have a full graphic design and a client comes along and says they don't like this particular image. They can leave a comment specifically on this image. They don't have to comment on the whole design. They can just click on it and add a comment related to this photo, which is amazing and really great for collaboration. Then you can lock the element, which is fantastic if you don't want it to be moved. Now you see, I can't select it. I'd have to actively click to unlock it first. Then I can move it like this. You can also duplicate it. If I click duplicate, you see now I have 2 identical images. If I want to delete them, I can just click Delete. Then you have more options in the right-click menu, which you can also access via the three dots here. So if I click away and right-click on the image, this menu appears. You have options like Copy, Paste, Duplicate, Reset, and Delete. You also have alignment options. I can align it left, right, or center. The same applies to vertical alignment. You also have options for top, middle, and bottom alignment, which is fantastic because Canva always wants you to know exactly what you're doing with your assets, and this is one way to control that. Then there's the Show Element Timing feature, which is specifically for videos, and we'll cover that when we design a video. Next, you have the Link function, so you can actually add a link to your designs. You also have the Lock function and Alt text for accessibility. You can set this image as a background again. So if I just click here, you'll see it moves to the background. Now this element is no longer here. It's actually the background. I can easily detach it from the background, which brings it back to the frame like before. Then I can also click Apply Colors to Page. This is a fantastic way to pull color combinations from your image and apply them to all the other elements you add on top. That's what it looks like. Now I want to show you how to resize or crop an element. If you look at my element, you'll see these round circles in the corners, which really help you resize. Just like any other program, you can resize from the corners, or if you go to the sides, which look more like these rectangular handles, I can drag those to crop, which is a great and very important feature to know when you're just starting with Canva. So again, corners for resizing, sides for cropping. That's what it looks like. You'll also see these little arrows, which you use to rotate. That's a great option, so you can position your element exactly how you want it. That's another feature. You can always rotate it. And when I move this element around, as you can see, we get these different guidelines. When you see a solid line like this, see this middle solid line? That means your element is aligned with a specific part of your entire design. You can see this line runs right through the center of the design, meaning we're perfectly centered. And the same goes for this vertical line. When I align it exactly in the middle, that means it's perfectly centered, just like we want. This is a great way to find alignment, for example. And that's how Canva helps us with that. So if I want to make sure this is aligned like this, I can adjust it accordingly. As you can see, these guidelines also show up when I align it to the sides. Sometimes you also see a middle section, which means it's aligned to the edges. That's a good option if you want to always leave some space around your design. Now, I want to take this image and show you what you can do with certain images in your Canva account. It doesn't have to be an upload, because this one is an upload. I can also go to the Elements tab and access any other photo from there, which I'll do now. At the top in the search bar, you can look for specific keywords. Let's say I type party. Under party, you'll see there are many different assets with this keyword. I can go to graphics. These are stickers or static elements like these, which I can use to start my design. Something like this, for example, I can just add to my design. As you can see, I've resized it. Or maybe I want to go back to photos. You can see these are different photos. I could select something I like. Let's say I like this party image here. I can simply add it to my canvas, and it will behave just like my uploaded element. You see, I've selected the background and now the photo. At the very top, you see the same options that we will go through shortly. So when you switch to an image, the first option at the top is Edit Image. If I click on it here, the full image editing window opens. From here, there are many different options. First, we have the Adjust tab. What I like about the Adjust tab is that it's very, very powerful, but not many people know about it. So we're covering this topic right from the start, because I want you to start off on the right foot and learn all these great features. Here you can, like in any photo editing program, change the temperature or the tint. And here you see this is a pretty good photo to demonstrate this to you. Change the brightness, change the contrast with these sliders. So you have so many different options here. You can easily change vibrance or saturation. And then there is color editing. So I could simply select one of the colors that Canva has identified as the key colors of the photo. Then I could change the hue and saturation to completely transform the image. Imagine my brand colors might not be purple, but rather a bit more bluish. I could easily change the hue here, which is a fantastic option. And then you have color editing for these little yellowish tones. Of course, this also affects skin tones. You see, sometimes it works well, like in this case, and it makes perfect sense. But sometimes it doesn't work with this specific option. You can always go back and adjust the brightness here. You see these bluish or greenish bubbles? I can change those too. So that's a cool option. Then we have texture, sharpness, and clarity. If you want to make your image a bit sharper, say it's a little blurry. Now you see, you can increase the sharpness slightly to make it a bit crisper. Another thing I absolutely love, which not many people know about, are the options to edit the entire image versus the foreground or background separately. Since Canva uses AI, it can really help you do different things. This is one of those great features. For example, if I want to separate the foreground from the background, I just click here. Canva works its magic and analyzes the image. From here, I can only adjust the brightness of the background, which is our actual object. So I can simply add a bit more contrast. I don't think this is the best photo to demonstrate it, but I could just change the saturation. Oh, maybe this is a cool effect I wanted to add. I have this purple background. These are our options for the foreground, and the same applies to the background. Even if I feel it might be a bit too purple for me, I could maybe tone it down a little. And you can see that the purple around the glass, since glass is naturally transparent, the color doesn't change there. However, only the background changes in saturation. If I go back to my editing tab, besides the adjustment section, we also have Magic Studio. These are just pro features, so we'll cover those later. You also have filters. Here you can see I have Canva's preset filters, which you can click on to change the mood of your photo. You might even have several. So you can simply use the same filter on all your photos to create a consistent editing style. You can also adjust the intensity here. If you want to remove any filter, you can always scroll back to None. The next section is the effects area. Here we have different apps for images that adapt to our photos. The first one is adding shadows, which I think is an important part of every design. Canva actually offers you so many different options. You don't just add a glow effect, for which I'd have to change the background here. So let me quickly change the background. I'll show you the color options in a moment. Let's take something like this. And when I edit the shadows to glow here, I can actually just change them to something bright. You can adjust the size like this, and you can change the blur level, just like that, so it blends seamlessly with the background. Here you can see, if I change it to white, I can adjust the intensity from something very subtle, barely noticeable, to something really intense here. Everything in Canva really works with sliders. I could also add a drop shadow from here. You see, we have the blur level. The same goes for the angle here. You can change the angle of your shadow like this, and you can change the distance, the intensity, and of course I can simply change it to a dark purple, and the effect of this shadow changes completely. That's a great option. And there are again presets for angle, side lift, and curve. Basically, there are presets. Here's this background, which is super cool, and you can also blur it a little. So you can really change the type of shadow or glow effect here. There's also this great option for an outline, especially if you have your own photos and want a kind of YouTube-style outline around your image. You can just do it like this, let's say. You see, it simply gives me an outline like this around my image, which is also a great option to use with shadows. But if you ever want to remove the shadow, you can always go back because all these effects can be edited anytime. You can go back like this. As you can see, I now have this preview with sliders here, which means the shadow effect is already active. So this is an indicator that you're actively using it for this element. You can simply switch back to None to completely remove this effect as well. Then we have Duotone, which is basically an app for recoloring. You see that the color of highlights and shadows can change here to create a fun effect. You can recolor them in a playful way. Then there's Blur. Sometimes you need something blurry. Maybe you want to blur part of the image, for example like this. If I just roughly select this part, I can simply increase the brush size here to make it easier. You see that I just blurred part of the image. You can remove it anytime here. Also, we have the option to blur the entire image. You can simply adjust the intensity for the whole image, which is sometimes very useful, especially if you just want to put some text over it or use the image as a background. Remember when we linked the image with the background? That way you could add a slight blur over the entire image. You can remove this blur anytime here. If I go back, you'll see it reappears again. As you can see with these different effects, for example, the blur effect gives us a more precise preview. Then we have the autofocus. I think it would be great to show autofocus with an image of someone. So let's say I want maybe a dog. Let's search here for something a bit more detailed. Maybe something like this. We have these cute puppies here. If I go back to edit and click on autofocus, you'll see Canva takes some time again to analyze the image. Then you have the option to soften the background. This is also a great option to give the image a professional look. You can see the sliders are already adjusted based on the image. So you already know the optimal intensity for autofocus is shown. But if you want to increase the intensity here, you can do that. You can also change the focus position. If I move this slider for focus position, the parts of the image affected or highlighted change. You see, I moved this focus point here. If I wanted to, I could of course also soften the foreground. The more intense the setting is, the more unnatural it looks, because the optics don't really work that way. But if I change this, you can see how nicely the background is softened. It really looks impressive how good that looks. So this is a great option to get a professional, clean look. Let's continue. We've covered the effects section now. Then we have the apps. Here you see mockups, image upscaler, shape cropper, and many more options. I won't go through all of them now. I highly recommend you try them out and see everything you can do with them. But I'll just show you a few of the possibilities these apps offer. You can create fun liquefy effects. You can make your entire image melt like this. It can even wobble. So this can be used for more creative backgrounds. Sometimes I also use this app just for backgrounds. You can cancel it anytime if you want. The image upscaler is fantastic if you have your own uploads, like old photos. Just upscale them for better quality. Here, you have different options. So now we've covered the editing panel, so you know how to access filters, effects, apps, and the adjustment tools. Besides that, with most images, you also have the option to add different features from the top bar. For example, you can add a frame that places the image inside a border. As you can see, this panel appears here once I change the frame thickness. You can also choose a dashed or dotted frame, just like this, or a solid one. And here you can also see the color picker for the frame. This is actually a feature I find really useful. Of course, this applies to certain borders. But as you can see, it will keep popping up again and again throughout your Canva journey. Let's say you can first see your document colors right in the color panel. From there, you also have the option to specifically search for a particular color. If I enter a hex code here, I can use that exact color instantly. A hex code is a 6-character color code that's especially useful when you want to work with your own custom colors or brand colors tied to a specific hex value. This way, you can always ensure your colors remain consistent throughout your designs. Right now, I see black and a sort of purple shade already saved here. But I can also add a completely new color if I want to. You have the choice to add either a solid color or a gradient. Then you can simply pick something that appeals to you or directly input the hex code, just like I just did. There's also an eyedropper tool available here. By clicking on it, you can sample a color from anywhere on your canvas or even from the edges of the Canva editor itself. For example, I could pick the green from the account preview here. The eyedropper works really precisely and makes selecting exact colors super easy. You can also add a gradient very easily. If I switch over to the gradient panel, you'll see there are already 2 different gradient colors set. Adding more colors here lets you create greater variety and more depth in your gradients. You can even adjust the intensity of the gradient to make it stronger or more subtle. There's also the option to change the style of the gradient completely. To better demonstrate, I'll switch to a lighter color, so you can really see the effect clearly. You'll notice that changing these settings fundamentally shifts the gradient's position and flow. And of course, you can freely move the gradient colors around by dragging and dropping them to different spots. If you want to add more colors just by clicking, that's easy too. As you add different colors, The overall gradient style updates dynamically based on your choices, giving you a wide range of creative control. It's important to keep in mind that these options are really powerful for customizing your designs. But for now, I'll switch back to a solid color to keep things simple. In this case, I might choose white as the color. Besides the document-specific colors and the option to add a new custom color, there is also always a section dedicated to photo colors. So, if you add an image, either from your own uploads or via the Elements tab, Canva will automatically analyze that image and provide a preview of the key colors it identifies within the photo. This is super helpful because it allows you to harmonize your entire design using those exact colors extracted from your image. For example, you might notice little color swatches popping out of a glass in the picture, matching the tones Canva has detected. That's really useful. If you're searching for a color to base your text or other design elements on, this feature makes it easy to pick something that naturally fits with your image. Then there's a section for standard colors, meaning the usual default palette you can always rely on for your designs. And finally, you have a section for gradients, which you can use just by clicking on any of the options shown. If you want to tweak any color or gradient at some point, you can always jump back to the color wheel and continue refining it there. For instance, I'm simply going to pick white for the frame here. And as you can see, this background color is now displayed at the very top when I select my background. So you have quick access to the same color panel from up top as well. That's basically how you work with colors in the Canva app. At any time, you can just search for the keyword of the color you want and easily find it. Now, if we return here, you'll notice I added a border since everything originally started with the border. You can change the style of the border again from this panel, or completely remove it if you want. The next option is corner rounding. This lets you adjust the roundness of the corners for any media, whether it's videos, images, or your uploaded files, giving your elements a softer, more rounded look. Just like this. You can even add a small frame here if you want. That also works with the border. For instance, if I add this white border around the element, it would work perfectly here as well. Next up, you have cropping options. Keep in mind, besides the basic crop tool, there's also a smart crop feature at the top. This tool analyzes your image and suggests the best crop for you automatically. You can also change the aspect ratio here, or rotate your crop like this. You'll see how that completely changes the mood and focus within the specific frame. Then there's the flip option. From here, I can simply flip the image horizontally or vertically, just like that. So if I ever want the hand to come from the right side instead of the left, I can flip it here easily. After that, you have transparency. You can adjust the transparency of your image at any time, just like this. I've reduced it to about 40%, but you can make it more or less transparent depending on your effect. This is fantastic and very useful for creating all kinds of visual effects. Besides transparency, we also have animations. You should know that animations are available here with tons of options to animate specific parts of your design. Remember, if you select an element, the animation will apply only to that element. To give you an example, I could apply one right now and it would completely change the vibe of my entire design. Finally, there's the position option. This is actually very, very useful. As you can see here, there are two main sections. If I click, this panel opens up where you can rearrange or change layers. Under the Arrange tab, you can move your image forward or send it all the way back. Of course, since we only have two elements here, the options are limited. But that's basically how you can manage layers. Also, remember, I right-click to bring up alignment options on the side. All of those options are also available here in the panel. So I can simply center my image or move it to the middle. These are the different types of alignment options available here. Then you also have advanced positioning options. From here, you can rotate your image by a specific number of degrees, or place it precisely at a regular pixel position where you want it. Of course, these are pixels because I chose pixels as the unit of measurement. If you create a new design and select inches, centimeters, or millimeters instead, those units will show up here. We also have the Layers area, which is like a visual representation of the arrangement panel. So I can just drag and drop the repositioned layers right from here, which is a really cool option. Sometimes, when you have many layers in your design, it's much easier to access certain things if they overlap and you can't see them directly at the bottom. Apart from positioning, there's this little paintbrush icon here, which lets you copy a style. I feel like this is one of the most underrated features. I really love it and use it a lot, but not many people know what it's for. It works just like the Format Painter in Windows Word or Excel. You can simply copy the style of one image and literally apply it to another image. That way, you get exactly the same style on the second image as the original one. Okay, I'll just delete this image now. You can delete it by clicking the Delete button or simply pressing Backspace while it's selected. Now we only have this image left and can start designing with different shapes. I've covered images so far. Now, I want to show you what you can do with various shapes, because besides images, you also have different shape options. Classic shapes, like rectangles or circles. They're really useful for design. As you can see, when you switch to shapes, Canva already offers you various options. If I click on a shape, you'll notice it comes with a color already taken from your design. It actually just picked the photo color from here. I could simply go in and change the color. I have this kind of color I want to use here. And as you see, shapes have a slightly different context menu than images. You'll see options like Edit, Position, Animate, and so on. They are quite similar, but when I click Edit here, you'll notice a different option appears. By selecting Edit for a specific shape, you reach the shape style settings and can completely change the shape. For example, I could use one of these presets here, maybe something like this as a base for my small element here. Next, you have the color panel, where you can change the color just like before. There's the border, which might not work well here, but I don't want to add it. You can remove it anytime here. Then there's corner rounding, as I mentioned earlier. Instead of a hard edge like this, you can use something a bit softer. The corners of your shape will be slightly rounded. I'd choose about 1/10. When you click in the middle, a text box appears. So you can literally write something like star here. You get all the options you would have if you were using a text box, because every shape you add can also contain text. I don't want to add any text to my shape here, but keep in mind that it's possible. This is one way the shape tool differs from images, because images can't contain text. You need to add a separate text box. Besides that, you again have transparency, animation, and position options. So these remain the same. The first part of the context menu just changes a bit. I'll just add this little shape here, maybe distort it a bit, and start repositioning my entire image here. Maybe I place it like this and crop it slightly so it fits here. Maybe I don't want much corner rounding, just a little bit to hide the sharp edges. Just so I have something like this in my image. By the way, if you double-click on an image, you can also change the crop position. Of course, I use the sides to crop the image, but this also lets me reposition the image within that crop area. As you can see, I don't have many different shapes available here. So Canva always tells you what you need to do if you want to keep those elements. You can either swap them for free alternatives or upgrade to Canva Pro. Alternatively, you can purchase a one-time license just for these Pro elements. This one-time payment license is a good option if you only need the Pro assets for a single design. You can simply click on it and link your PayPal account, credit card, or debit card. If you want me to create tutorials like this one, covering Canva presentations, video editing, whiteboards, or any other useful topics, just let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to keep following your Canva journey. If you've made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for your time. Please hit the like button and drop a comment saying you came from this video. It really means a lot. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.